All right, how is everybody doing today? Another podcast launching away. Hope everybody's having, like I said, an awesome day. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the golf coverage. We got a lot of backlash last week or this past week at the Genesis Invitational at Riviera. CBS had the broadcast, so we're going to talk about broadcasting, golf broadcasting. What's the problem? What needs to be done moving forward? And I'm going to give you my story a little bit on how I tried to get into the golf business, and that was interesting and confusing for me for a long time. And it might reveal some of the problems that's going on right now in the golf industry or in the golf broadcasting industry. And we're probably losing a lot of viewers, and they're trying to capture a certain amount of viewers and a certain type of demographic. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm not totally a all problems kind of guy. Like, I like to look at the problems, but then I like to give solutions. So I like to kind of digest things and what's happening and really try to think about things that we can do to improve as opposed to just beating people up because there's problems going on. So we're going to look at some solutions I think that we can maybe try, hopefully integrate one day. So hopefully somebody will integrate this into the golf broadcast. And so we'll discuss a little bit of that and have a good hopefully discussion today. Always want to try to touch base on interesting topics, things that are relevant in the golf industry. And I always want to give you a little bit of backstory on me and who I am and my background in this space as well. So you can get to know me a little bit, and we can have hopefully some dialogue. Leave your comments below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the support. We're approaching 90,000 subscribers on YouTube, so it's getting exciting. It's been exciting this last couple years, 2.5 years or so has been exciting, and we're gonna keep the grind alive. And I'm looking forward to that 100,000 mark. I think we're gonna get there sooner rather than later, and then let's see if we can get to 200,000 faster than the first 100,000. That would be cool. So appreciate all of that. And as always, links to all the products I use and or recommend are in the video description below or on the podcast. You can look at the description. It's on there somewhere. And on the website, I try to get all the links to all the stuff there as well. Be sure to pick up also my practice plan. It's a free practice plan, printout version or PDF, or you can just keep it on your mobile device, however you want. And that goes in conjunction with my 24 video series of the 5-stroke challenge. Lower your average score by 5 strokes. With the 24 videos, we go through a daily practice routines, what to do at practice that day, and then over the course of however long it takes you to progress through the entire series. By the time you're done, you will, hopefully, the goal is that you will have reduced your average score by 5 strokes. That's a big ask, and certainly not something to just kind of slough off, but it's something that, you can, if you put in the practice, you can get better. And I truly believe that. So be sure to get your free practice plan. So sometimes you might not have access to the video, but you can always pull up the practice plan, just copy it, put it in your notes, however you want to do it, print it out, put it in your golf bag. Some people might laminate it so they just know and they just mark off with their Sharpie what they've done each day, or and that will really truly help you break. Let's say, you get in these ruts or you reach plateaus in your golf game and you need something to break through with that. So a certain practice plan, that's something that you can you can do to help break that barrier, break that rut, that plateau that you may be at. And people do this all the time. Like when I go to the gym and exercise, I might be working on my chest, but I never really do the exact same chest exercise every time I do chest. I'll mix it up. And that way I don't ever do the same thing. I just do different exercises to achieve the same result. Same in golf. So when I go to practice, okay, I do the 3-foot circle, but then I might do a 7-foot circle or a 8-foot or a 4-foot, or I'll mix it up. So I'm still working on putting, the same type of thing, but I spread it out so that I'm achieving the same result, but I'm not getting just this mundane, mindless practice. You always want to be stimulating your brain when you practice. And so the more you mix it up, the more you do different things, the more stimulation you'll have, because it'll just be new. It's always new. And when things are new, your brain tends to absorb a lot more of that quicker, and you'll be able to change a lot faster and get better quicker. And that's what the goal is. Get better quicker. And not a pill, not a Band-Aid fix, but something that can just help us work our body, our brain, our muscle memory in a different way that helps it learn faster and better. And that's what the whole basis, the premise of this channel is all about, is to help us get better faster. And a lot of it's unconventional teachings, tips, drills, things like that. The goal in mind is that you get better. That's it. That is the goal. That's why I work so hard. And you don't make a lot of money doing this. So there's got to be a certain passion to it. And I love what I do, and I love being able to share what I've learned over the years with everybody, because it's encouraging when you all reach out back to me and just say thanks. And when I was at the Genesis Open, I had a lot of people come up to me and just say thanks. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate each one of you who took that time to just say hi, to introduce yourself and say thanks. I appreciate it. That's why I do this, because I want to help people get better. And I feel like golf has just been in a space for so long where you kind of hear the same thing over and over and over again, and you don't really get any better. And so I want people to hear sort of the same thing in a very different way. And so that's how I try to package this whole channel in a different type of wrapper, so that it's just new, so that your brain can pick it up quicker and faster and better. Anyway, speaking of the Genesis Open. Oh, and before we get that, be sure to, I always like to let you know about good discounts, good products that I work with, that I'm reviewing, checking out. One company that's always been great to me is Athlons, and I just want to share them with you, and that's the shoe company that I'm wearing their shoes pretty much all the time. They don't pay me to wear their shoes. They give me some shoes, but I really love them, and I want you guys to at least consider checking them out. They have this technology that helps keep you grounded on the earth better, and you just have more stability in your swing, which it essentially gives you more distance and more control. And so you can hit cleaner, crisper shots that go farther, and that's a good thing. And so be sure to go to athlons.com and check out, enter promo code MrShortGame. And I think they're still giving you a discount with that. So just, always put that in, and be sure to check that out. They're not the cheapest shoes in the world, but they are, in my opinion, the best shoes, and I love them. I walk a lot in them, and they're just super comfortable. So I really enjoy those. So be sure to check that out, and I'll probably tell you about other products too throughout the podcast as we go, but be sure to check that out. So if you watched the Genesis Open on CBS this past weekend, you follow any Twitter rants and raves, you'll have probably seen a lot of backlash about the coverage. And I was watching it, and there were some things that I just was like, it just didn't feel right. And so I'm like, why didn't they? For example, Harold Varner III, he had a shot on 10 the short par 4. It's 315 yards or so. So his second shot was like from 150, 157, something like that, short of this first bunker that's in the middle of the fairway that nobody even goes in. They go over that one. They go in the one closest to the green or greenside bunkers or over the green if they're going for it. So he's short of this first one. So I'm like, that's weird. How did he get there? And at the time he was in the lead or really close, or he was right in the mix. So then Trevor Immelman had said he had topped his tee shot. So I'm sitting there thinking, oh, cool, we're going to get to see his tee shot that he topped in. They didn't show. I never saw it. I saw it eventually on Twitter. I think the broadcast may have shown it maybe 90 minutes later, something ridiculously later. And what was going on there? You see, was it they were trying to spare Harold Varner of the embarrassment of topping a shot and having it on air? Was that what they were trying to do? Did they not want you to see the imperfections of a professional golfer, or what happens to them when they're under pressure? Or, I've seen these guys, they top the ball occasionally. Okay, this happens out there on the tour. There's shanks that go on. And so we see some of those. I mean, how many Webb Simpson shanks have we seen over the years? His swing just kind of encourages that, but he's so good eye-hand coordination that most of the time it doesn't happen. But so we don't see the shot. And it was very odd and concerning to me and a lot of other people as well. So what was going on there? And should we even worry about the TV coverage and what they're seeing? I mean, obviously, CBS is concerned in terms of what their coverage is, because they just got rid of, or didn't just, but they did get rid of Gary McCord and Peter Kostis, and they replaced them with Davis Love and Trevor Immelman, and they Dottie Pepper, they kind of promoted her, but she's good. I like what she's doing and what she brings to the broadcast. Very very good at what she does. But I do miss Gary McCord and Peter Kostis. Well, Peter Kostis, if you search the internet, you search Twitter, you'll see that he has called out or has said stuff about Patrick Reed. And there was an instance where, I forgot what tournament, but Patrick hits his drive into the rough. And it's pretty well sitting down. It's sitting down in the rough. And Peter Kostis, he's on course. He's looking at it. He's like, okay, he's going to have to lay up with something and whatever. So Patrick Reed gets over there and he, puts a iron down and he looks at his shot and then he takes another club. And he does that a few times. And then eventually he pulls out a 3-wood. And Peter Kostis says something to the effect of, well, he wouldn't be able to hit the 3-wood with the lie he had when his ball landed there. But now he's able to get the 3-wood on it. So he kind of subtly, or not so subtly, indicated that something has changed with the lie of Patrick Reed over the course of the couple minutes where he was putting the club behind the ball a few times. And you could see it on TV. So this is the kind of person, this is the kind of commentary that Peter Kostis would give us. And this, for me, I like that. I want just give me truth. Give me a guy who says the truth. Kind of like that Johnny Miller. He's not afraid to say what's on his mind. And I don't find anything wrong with that. Now, if you're being disparaging to somebody or you're putting them down, that's one thing. I don't want that. But I do want the truth. And there was nothing wrong with what he said about Patrick Reed's lie. He said, well, it was a bad lie, and now it's a pretty good lie. So what happened? He didn't say, and he's standing right there. He knows exactly what happened. So he knows what kind of fluffing up or improvements were done by Reed. So he is a guy that tells the truth. Now, CBS, I don't know what they're going to say or what they're not going to say publicly on the record, but you would assume the reason they got rid of certain people and added others was to get, let's say, younger in their on-camera talent, and as a attempt to try to attract younger viewers, which in my opinion is ridiculous. Not that that's what they did. I think that's what they did. But what I think is, I don't think by changing the on-camera personality, you're going to get different viewers. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think adding or putting Amanda Balionis on camera is going to make more people watch. Now, she's great. She's nice to look at. So she's good at what she does, right? She's a good, like, on-camera personality, right? But I don't think people are tuning in just to see her. I'm not going to watch NFL football just to see some commentator. Just because this guy or this girl is one of the on-camera personalities, that's why I'm going to tune in. No, I'm going to tune in because I like the team. I like the sport. I want to see that, right? That's why, personally, I tune in. And then I tune in because I like the way it's showcased. So, to me, watching baseball can be very boring. But if they come up with a different way to showcase baseball, then it's a lot more exciting. A good example is hockey. For me, hockey on TV is boring. However, going to the game, it's one of the most exciting live sports to be a part of, to go to experience. So I'll go to a hockey game, but I'm not going to watch hockey on television because there it's kind of boring. You don't really see the action. You can't experience it the same as you can live. Live, you're right there. You can hear the skates, you hear the ice, you hear the stopping and the sliding and the hitting, and you can hear it and experience in a much, much different way than you can on television. Now, golf live versus on TV. Live is cool because you're just right there among the players. I mean, you're right there. And so that's exciting. On television, it could be very boring. I mean, it's good nap time. If it's just a regular tour event and none of the big names are really at the top of the leaderboard, what do? How do you do that? And you've got CBS having this broadcast that's kind of a mess. And they even said, like, hey, we have a new crew. We're learning the ropes. We're getting used to each other. And that's kind of a ridiculous statement because you have the same producer, Lance Barrow, who's been there since, I believe, for a long time. And he's been with the company for a long time. And he's been involved in golf for a long, long time. And this is his last season before he steps down. And he's an incredible producer. But what happens is with companies like CBS, and I have some experience with CBS. I actually worked for CBS for a few years here in Hollywood. And it's a totally different division. But in terms of CBS, people are there a long, long time. And so when I walked through the doors and I was just starting to work there a little bit, I would talk to people and they would say, oh yeah, I've been here 30 years, 25 years, 20 years, 35 years. And that scared me because I was like, I don't want to be here that long. I want to be here a year, maybe 2 years. I'm not like this corporate, super long-term person. That's just not me. I like to move around. I get a little bored, so I like to bounce around and move around from place to place. But CBS has that culture of you're sticking around for a very, very long time. And a lot of people in the coverage have been there for a long time. So for them to move on, things are going to be different. But they totally kind of shafted McCord and Kostis. They just basically ushered them out, which is sad. So they're saying, whether they're saying it publicly or not saying it, but they're trying to attract a younger audience. So they're trying to get in different people that's going to bring in that younger audience. But again, I gotta just ask you all a question. Leave your comments. Do you watch golf because of who is broadcasting? Or do you watch golf because of who's playing? So if Tiger's on the leaderboard, anybody could be broadcasting the golf. You're going to tune in. At least I'm going to tune in and find out what's happening with him. Where's he? What's he doing? Who else? Is Phil Mickelson playing? Where's Rory and DJ and all these guys and Brooks? Where are they? So if they're in the mix, I'm going to watch. But if it's a bunch of guys, no disrespect to any of them, but there's a bunch of them that are just kind of like, not really going to watch. There's tournaments I watch where it's a bunch of guys that I don't really know. I don't see much. They haven't won much. They're rarely up there, and it's not, let's say, one of the showcase events like a Riviera. It's just, I'm not going to just name tournaments. These guys work hard to put these tournaments together, but you know what they are. There's some that are like, whatever. It's just kind of in between the other tournaments, and if it's full of kind of people that are just not that exciting to watch, we're not going to tune in. And it doesn't matter who you put in front of the camera. You're gonna watch or not watch based on who's playing. So when you take out people who know what they're doing, who are very skilled at what they do, who love what they do, and replace them with other people who are not as good, who are not as skilled, who don't have the history, who you're just moving in because you want a different viewer, to me, that's just a slap in the face. I don't respect that. I think that's bad business, because you're saying that these people can't attract a younger audience. Whereas you look at a guy, I mean, certainly not getting political, but you look at like a Bernie Sanders, he has a large following of young people, and he's not that young. So young people will watch older people that are captivating, that are engaging, that make them feel like they're part of the family, so to speak. And it's about how you talk to people, how you interact with them, how you relate to them. And then if you give them what they want, they are going to be tuned in, because they're excited. They feel like, hey, they care about me. And it's all about caring. So if the broadcasts were to be structured and put together in a way that's caring, that you feel like, hey, they actually care about my experience right now, you're going to be more invested in that. You're going to be more connected to it. And we'll get into a little bit about what can be done about that, which I think there's some, I have a few thoughts that I think we can, that I don't know. You let me know if they're good or not good. And I want to hear your thoughts too about what you can add to these broadcasts. But back in 1995, okay, this is when Golf Channel was really the beginning. It's like their first or second year on air. They were in their infancy stage. And I was excited because I graduated college in 95 from San Diego State with a degree in journalism. And so I wanted to be a journalist in production, marketing on some level. So I was super excited because here I love golf. I just got off. So I was playing on the golf team. I studied journalism. I'm going into that journalism field. Golf Channel is brand new. I mean, they are babies. And I'm thinking, and I'm young now, right? I'm young. It's 95. Just graduated college. I put together my resume, wrote it. Back then, you had to write it, type it, write a letter, handwritten, mail that thing. And I sent it off to Golf Channel. And I got a letter back saying, thank you very much. We looked at your qualifications. We find that, there's more qualified candidates, but we'll keep your stuff on file. And by the way, anytime somebody says we'll keep your stuff on file, you all know that goes in the trash can and you never hear from them again. Nobody has ever kept anything on file. I've never kept your resume on file. Okay. I just throw it away. So I think we can all just say, and just tell me the truth. Like, hey, thanks, but no thanks right now. Please apply later, and maybe you'll get lucky that time. That's what you should say. Just tell me the truth. Don't lie. Tell me the truth. I might not like it, but at least I know you're honest. So tell me the truth about what's happening, because that's just what we want to know. So anyways, they turn me down. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I end up getting a job in Hollywood in the television industry. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm in TV, in Hollywood, in LA. I love it. So I'm working there for a year, and I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to go. I have a background in like editing, assistant editing at the time. I can go to Golf Channel as an assistant editor. I have LA Hollywood experience. journalism background, golf team. Like I check all the boxes. Still young, right? It's the next year. Applied again. Same thing. Resume, updated resume now. Updated resume, wrote a cover letter. And this time I think I might have typed it. Journalism major, so my writing skills were pretty good. Put that all together, send it off. Nothing. Same letter back. Same letter. Thanks. You're not qualified. We found other candidates. So then again, now the internet still is in its infancy stages, beginning. So there's not a lot you can do online. But then I think the next year they might have had some job postings, and one was like editor, producer. Like I started applying to everything. Assistant editor, and now I'm an editor. I'm editing television promos. So they needed a promo editor to start promoting Golf Channel. And I'm like, this is perfect. Like there's no other candidate. I'm in LA working as a on-air promotions editor. Day to day, working on high-end shows. People you have heard of, their TV shows, promoting that. And I'm putting my resume, all this stuff together to Golf Channel. And I constantly get the same response. No thanks. I never could figure it out. And year after year after year after year, this went on. And I still couldn't figure it out. And all I could think of now, looking back, was that the golf industry does not know as a whole what's going on. That's really all I could think of. They must not totally have a clue of what's going on, because otherwise they would search for the right talent, and they would do the right things to put stuff together in an exciting way. And all golf broadcasts, whether they're Golf Channel, CBS, NBC, Fox, they're all very similar if you look at it. And they all copy each other. But very seldom do you see somebody willing to step out and take a chance and step out of the box and do something different and really make a stand and say, hey, we're going to try this. And what's interesting about golf and TV and, let's say, entertainment today versus 10, 15, 20 years ago is the fact that because of YouTube and what happens there, right? There's always stuff there to check out. Like I can put out a video of just about anything tomorrow. I can do anything I want. Let's say golf related. I just throw it out there. Now, if you hate it, I'm going to know right away. And that's fine. Then I make adjustments and say, okay, don't do that again. Or I do one and you love it. And then I kind of start pivoting my whole channel, my whole look, everything based around stuff you love. In other words, I have instant feedback of what you like and what you don't like. And even golf broadcasts today have that. They have that ability to look at what people like and get that instant feedback and say, did they like that? Did they not like that? The problem, though, is that for so many years, for so long, they bring in the producers. They bring in the people that are not willing to try different things. And the reason they're not is because they fear losing their job. You look at Peter Kostis. He would say the truth a lot of times. He would speak what he believed. He would speak his mind. And that's what I love about people as they mature, is that they're less afraid to say what they want. So that's what happens is they start moving those people out. The really young are fearless. They'll say what they believe, what they see, like little kids. They'll just say it. Like, you're fat. Like, kids will say that kind of stuff at the grocery store. Like, whoa, how'd that person get so big? Like, I've been standing there with my kids. They're little, and they're like, whoa. And then you're like, oh, sorry, right? I think that's happened to a lot of parents out there. And that's what little kids do. And then you lose that because there's a level of, I just believe it's fear. You don't want to lose your job. So CBS moves out certain people, they move in other people, and now they have these people brand new, especially brand new or newer in the company. You're going to do whatever the higher ups tell you to do. So you're not going to say things that they don't want you to say. You're just going to promote whatever they want you to promote. And typically it's going to be things that their sponsors are comfortable with, that they feel like doesn't offend anybody because they're making advertising dollars. And they want to promote the certain things that they want to promote because there's a lot of money involved in that. So as people like Kostis or McCord get more familiar, more comfortable with what they do, they're going to start saying what they believe more often. And then the company's not going to like that as much. So, yeah, it's no surprise they move them out. And it's all about job security. And that's one of the challenges I have with watching these golf broadcasts is the fact that people have these job security positions and they want to keep it so they don't say or report in a way that brings truth. Like, if somebody's fluffing up their lie, man, I want to know about it. If somebody tops a ball, I want to see it. Guess what? If Max Homa, who is a local LA guy, is in the lead or fighting for the lead, that dude is huge around LA. He's huge around here. And LA is going to have a big market share of the Genesis Open because it's in LA. So we're all watching it. And everybody's in LA is rooting for Max Homa. Now, a producer should know this, like, oh, he's a local guy. Let's do some backstory stuff around him and show him more because he is a kind of a homegrown dude in the area. And let's show you have enough cameras. You telling me you don't have coverage of Harold Varner, like live topping that ball? You have the cameras, you have the stuff, but I guess they needed that time to contemplate whether or not that was something they wanted to put on the broadcast. And so that's just, to me, it's sad. It's sad that they're not willing to say what we all want to hear and to put it out there. Because I don't think a guy like Harold Varner would care if you showed him topping the ball. You've seen him in interviews. He seems like a pretty down-to-earth, cool dude who would just say, yeah, like, what's he going to do? Right? I don't think he would get upset about that or respond. Like, it's reality. It happens to us. And I think that's what the golf broadcasts are really missing, are people that are more relatable to the viewer. Right? They typically get the former PGA Tour or LPGA Tour player, and then that's the person they have doing the broadcast. The problem is it's hard, in my opinion, for that person to relate to the viewer because it's been so long since they've been that player. They've been on tour. They've been in it. Now, they have some knowledge in terms of the shot, but that can all be learned. We can all look at a situation, and if you have some level of intelligence, figure out if it's a good lie or a bad lie, and there's distance. And so I would rather see quality reporters or entertaining people involved in the broadcast as opposed to all former PGA or LPGA Tour players. Because one is fine, or two, that's cool. I like that, but I don't need them all to be. I want some real life journalists or people who study journalism or people who have an entertaining take or can speak to a viewer in a way that's most relatable. Like, oh man, that's a chunky lie. Dude, I couldn't hit a 7-iron out of that, with 100, with a whole basket. Like, I don't know exactly, but like a guy who does it well is Faraday. I mean, he's good, in my opinion. I like him, but he's a good character. And the funny thing is, what's great is he was on tour. However, he wasn't that great on tour. He was pretty good. He played in the Ryder Cup, but he's able to cross that bridge and speak as if he's one of us, the amateur or average player. He's able to talk about himself in that way, so you feel like he's one of us. And so I want more people like that on the broadcast, as opposed to just all these yes men and women who are going to do whatever the company says. But what are you going to do? You know, the company's paying for the rights to broadcast that event, so they get to do whatever they want to do. So how do you deal with that? You know, it's going to take a lot of kind of pushback. So keep your Twitter comments respectful, but go after them if it's not a good enough quality, and let them know. Don't just beat up on what they're doing. Let's start letting them know the things that we can do that we want, so that we can have a quality broadcast. And even let's change the way we showcase golf on television. I would like to see that. Like, one thing I would try, if I'm the producer of, and I've produced a lot of things in television. So one of the things I would try would be, I would bring in YouTube golfers like myself, like GM Golf, Golfholics. There's a lot of guys and girls that you could bring in that can give a different perspective and have them do some on-course commentary about what's going on. And at least try it. Try it out. I'd bring in a few of us personally. What am I, trying to get a job? Not really. I like being home watching this stuff on the weekends, but I would be willing to go out there and be on course on a Saturday. I think you should do it one day of the event, like Saturday, and just see what happens. Have like 4 or 5 of them. Have them together, so they're both like, have a team of 2. Like, it'd be cool, like Mike from Golfholics and me, just together, we're walking together, and we're both talking about one group, and we're doing our commentary together. Like, and you play off of each other, and you could do stuff like that. You can have Paige out there with Paris and different people like that who can bring a different element to the game, to the broadcast, that they've never done before. And so you have these people who have some social media standing, or that are able to kind of give a cool, different perspective on the game that you haven't heard before, but that maybe people are familiar with on some level. And I think that would really spice up the broadcast. And if you don't want to have it on a Sunday final round where everything's super important and you've got the sponsor and letting them give their television time or whatever, I get that. But it might be something to try out on a Saturday, because the weekends are, be a bit more popular, more people watching, or just try it out. See what happens. See what kind of response you get. And the cool thing about social media is that you're going to know right away. You're going to know. And so that's something that I would like to see. Whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, I don't care. But I would like to see something like that. And let's have like some on-camera Twitter responses, so we can start engaging social media on a much bigger level than they're currently doing. Good and bad. Like, don't run away. Don't shy away from truth. Let's bring it in and talk about it. And if somebody says something about the golfers, obviously we want to keep the respectful comments there and the disrespectful and, hate comments out. But there's a lot of people out there that have good comments. So I want more of that social media interaction on my television feed. And I want to see more people giving commentary and even maybe talking with fans. Like, I don't want to see a player interviewed during the round, because Brooks Koepka hates it. I think it's weird personally. Like, you're walking up the 16th fairway and I'm going to interview you. Hey, Tiger, tell me about that drive you just hit off a spectator. Like, this is not something that I think is good. That's a bad idea. But what I could do is interview a fan right there and get some fan takes. Kids. If I'm interviewing kids on the golf course, guess what? More kids are going to watch. if you want younger viewers, then start tailoring your broadcast for them. It's not going to be because you hired a young person to be on the show, on the broadcast. It's going to be because you structure it in a way that kids want to watch. Kids watched Mr. Rogers, okay, on a large scale. He wasn't the youngest guy in the world, okay? You don't have to be young for young people to watch. That's a misnomer. That's ridiculous. What you have to do is structure a broadcast that attracts them here's the key, without ostracizing the older, more mature viewer, because that's not what you want to do. And there are ways to do that. You don't want to be so overwhelming, so different that it's like, whoa, shocking, and people hate it. But you can slowly integrate other people. And I would start with integrating other people similar to what David Faraday is, okay? A more down-to-earth, relatable person. He relates to that average golfer. And there's a lot of people out there that can do that in a cool way. And everybody has a different perspective. Everybody has a different take. And people who are doing it, or people who are on YouTube, I think would be a great way to go. And you could even just take that broadcast with those commentators and stream it directly to YouTube. And so if people wanted that, they could direct themselves to a different platform. You have the PGA Tour live broadcast. So that's cool. So you have the ability in events to have a separate broadcast. And I would have one if you don't want to. I mean, I would do it on the national level, but if you can't, I would give people the option of hearing different style commentators and see a different style of broadcast. And you could start on YouTube, you could start on social media, you could start doing it in different ways. So that's my solution, kind of in a nutshell, for just a basic way where we can begin to start having a cooler, more, young, they say young, but just a different, let's just say different style of broadcast, because the typical stuff is just, it's getting old. It's not totally working unless Tiger's winning the tournament. It's going to be difficult to really get people engaged. The ones that they are engaged with are the Masters, obviously. That's a big one. Or one where Tiger's winning. Or something like the U.S. Open when the players are getting beat up, and which I don't think is a bad thing. I like it. I like to see carnage out there more often. And you look in terms of the USGA distance report, and then you watch the Genesis Invitational, not a long golf course, and the scores weren't ridiculously low, and the long bombers weren't dominating. I mean, there were some up there, but you had Harold Varner. You had other more, let's say, normal distance players up there, because that course is set up in a way that gives everybody really a fair shake at winning the tournament. And that's exactly what it did. And you can do that week in and week out with proper course setup, which for some reason they refuse to do. And I think the more difficult you make it, the more fun it is to watch, because I want to see a guy top the ball. I want to see them chunk it. I want to see them shank something. I want to see it challenging. I want to see the putts. I want to see some birdies, but I want to see you earn it. And then that coupled with a different style of format where you can get good broadcasters to do some cool stuff. And if they don't do it, if the networks aren't willing to do this, what's going to happen is, I'll tell you what's going to happen. People are going to give their commentary in a different way. I can do a commentary. I could throw the game up on my television, and I could do this, and you could listen to me and watch golf at the same time. I can't show you the golf, but you can watch. So that's going to happen. People are going to do that. And I could get a bunch of my friends and we can all do it. And then you could have a cool commentary in a way that So, if that's something, but people are going to do that. They're just going to watch it, commentary. So you could throw it up on your TV, the network, and then listen to something else. And so if they don't get their act straight, that's exactly what's going to happen. And then that's going to start really affecting what's happening. And there's going to be a big backlash about how, golf is consumed. So if I were the networks, I would be in front of this and out on top so that those types of things don't happen. It's easy to do. Just bring some people in, let them do something, try some stuff out, always test. Put it online, put it on one day, put stuff out there in a way that you can start seeing what's working and what's not working. And that's going to make a big, big difference. And, the cool thing is you can get that PGA Tour live for I think it's $64.99 for the year if you pay for the year. So that's $5.40 a month, roughly. That's a good deal. So you can watch online. Now, I wouldn't say the broadcast is any better, and you kind of get a different look than you do on the network television, but it's still not exactly what I think they're going for in terms of that new viewer, because you want to bring in, you're trying to bring in new audiences all the time. Certainly, some people are just going to watch, but you want to get a new viewer. And now I coach juniors, I coach kids. They're not really watching golf. That's not what they watch. It's boring. And so how are you going to get an 8, 9, 10, 12, 15-year-old to watch golf? Because it is boring, for someone at that age. So that's the challenge. You've got to restructure it in a way where they're excited about it. And I've given a few examples. I want to hear your thoughts about what you would do. What would you add to the golf broadcast to spice them up, to liven them up, and to make them appeal for more people across the board, especially that younger viewer. Because if you're not getting the younger viewers, they're moving on to different sports, and they just tune golf out, and golf slowly dies, which it's always a challenge because golf can be really, really expensive, and it's really, really difficult. So you've got to keep something happening to engage the younger viewers, to get them involved in the game on at least the viewing level. So what would you do? Leave your comment below. I want to know, and I want to hear about that. And be sure to always keep checking the website, MrShortGame.com. Make sure get your free practice plan. Link in the description below. Thanks so much for listening, for watching, for making time to talk golf. And hopefully, I do believe your game is going to improve with the tips and the drills that I'm putting out and for you guys. So anyways, thanks again. Love you guys. And I'll see you next video.